Hello, everyone. It's Jennie and Laurie, and we're here to make a quick video about Mercury retrograde. I'm Laurie of Astrology. Who are you?
I'm Jennie Date of HiddenPathAstrology.com.
Okay, find both of our information below this video, and please like and share and subscribe and do all those good things to help us out. That would be wonderful. So like I said, we're going to try to keep this video short. We've talked a lot about all the things happening in Taurus recently. So again, this Mercury retrograde is happening in Taurus. So again, we're revisiting a conversation that centers a lot around Taurus.
You are correct. There's a lot of Taurus happening.
Oof,
But today we're going to talk about the Mercury retrograde in Taurus. So this is
so before we even talk about Taurus or any of the other things, what's Mercury retrograde mean to you? What do you think about? What do you feel when you think, oh, look, another Mercury retrograde? Because they happen very regularly, right? Like 3 times a year.
Yeah, 3 times a year. You got it. I just think it's a great time to slow down. It's a great time to revisit, review, or redo. There's a lot of re words with retrogrades. But it's true. It's a chance to go back and take care of stuff that you missed the first time round, to relax and look at what's missing and have an opportunity to do it, to take care of it. Yeah. So I know people get all freaked out, and I know you'll talk more about that, but really it's an awesome time to just, restore and chill out.
I love Mercury retrograde. I really do. I always get very excited when Mercury is coming retrograde because it signals to me a time to get caught up. We move so fast in our lives and we have so many things going on. And sometimes it feels like there's this weight of things looking for attention all the time. And I always think, Mercury retrograde kind of pauses. Okay, get all that stuff cleaned up. So I always look back at the last time Mercury retrograde, the last Mercury retrograde ended on January 18th. So I always try to think of, okay, since January 18th, what is left undone? Make a list. If you can think back, over these last few months, what's been left undone? What communications did you drop the ball on? What project got left half done? And just really focus on those things during this 3-week period of time. Speaking of this 3-week period of time, when does this thing end and when does it begin?
Well, Mercury is going to turn retrograde on April 21st. That is just one day after Taurus season begins, and we had that solar eclipse. And it's going to station direct on May 14th. And in that time, it's going to retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus, and it's going to go all the way back to 5 degrees of Taurus. So all of this is happening during Taurus season. It's going to start and finish and be done with it all during Taurus season, which is pretty interesting, actually.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And, you want to pay attention, if you know your own chart, you want to think about that space between 15 degrees going back to 5 degrees. If you have any personal planets or important points like your midheaven or ascendant, if you have any of those things between 5 and 15 degrees of fixed signs, this is going to be more relevant. Or you'll feel it more strongly. And actually, 15 degrees of fixed signs is an important point, isn't it, Jennie?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's something about that 15 degree that's a critical degree.
And I mean, if nothing else, it's the center point. I mean, it's the exact halfway point in a fixed sign. And fixed signs, they don't like to change a whole lot. They like to stay the same, so I think that's interesting. Yeah. And also, so the midpoint of this cycle is going to be May 1st. So what that means is that you're going to want to have things going by then. You're going to want to be clear about what things do you need to go back and button up, what things do you need to redo or add to or shave down or tidy up in some way, or shore up. I like that word too. Yeah. But basically by May 1st, you want to be okay, like knowing where you are, just because it's the smack dab middle point. And that's right when Mercury will be exactly conjunct the sun. Yeah. And that always signifies the midpoint. So that's what you want to think about, May 1st.
Yeah.
Marker.
Yeah. Do you want to look at the chart, or does that seem unimportant?
We can. I think we should look at the chart. Before that, I just want to add that Mercury retrograde is all in Earth signs this year. So Earth signs are about tangible matters, things you can touch and feel and step on and stand on and work with your hands.
And pay your bills with.
Right. Like it's very much about resources. So it's interesting that this whole year we're dealing with that, retrogrades in Earth-based signs. So all right, well, let's just take a quick look at the chart. So the main idea with this chart is you can see all the things that are happening in Taurus. It's Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. You see Mercury retrograde down here, right in the middle of those Taurus, all those things in Taurus. And the North Node is right next to the sun. That's how you know that we just had a solar eclipse or an eclipse. And Mercury retrograde this time is very much tied in. I mean, I just think it's a reiteration of the theme of, hey, you need to slow down. Right. You need to take some time to reflect on what you've done, where you've come from.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that Mercury goes retrograde right before it gets to Uranus.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't quite want to go there yet. Uranus is so much upheaval and it doesn't quite want to go there yet. So back.
Yeah. But I like that you said that too, because there is this implication of like, get yourself on firm ground, get some nice firm footing. And I think that that's what the Mercury retrograde is allowing us to do, is get grounded, slow down, get your foundation nicely set, because you're going to need it when that tumultuous part comes.
Yeah.
But the other thing, Laurie, that you were bringing up is that whole idea of Jupiter moving into Taurus.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to me. It's like when I look at this, and Jupiter will be entering Taurus on May 16th. So Mercury goes direct on May 14th. 2 days later, Jupiter is going to join the planets that are in Taurus. To me, the way I've been thinking about this is Mercury is preparing the ground for the expansion that Jupiter brings. Jupiter is the great benefic. It brings benefits. It brings expansion. So Mercury is having us clean something up in that area in order to prepare the ground for that expansion. Simple as that.
Nice. Yeah, I like the way that you're thinking about that. And I just think with Taurus too, we are talking about practical, tangible things. I also think, as far as any sort of spiritual practice, really important time to get grounded. So I mean, within yourself, your own inner ground is what we're talking about, getting grounded. So that's an important focus.
Yes. And then there's those sextiles. Those are really the main aspects that Mercury makes during its retrograde. It sextiles both Mars and Saturn. That's really nice. It's giving us the energy and the stability to do this work that we're being asked to do.
And you can kind of see how it makes this nice little triangle, essentially. And that's what's happening. And I think that it's a really nice support system for Mercury. It's sort of saying, yep, do these things, take action to take care of these things. That's what the Mars influences, and then the Saturn influences, and find the structure, make the structure so that you can really make some gains in redoing things.
Awesome. I think that's all we need to say.
Yeah. I think, it's really nice that Jupiter's moving into Taurus. I think that's going to be a really nice change for all of us.
Yeah, and I like that Mercury's doing it. Mercury's helping us prepare that area. So it is, and I believe we will be making a video about Jupiter moving into Taurus. But just as a little precursor to that, let's take a look. And I didn't prepare fancy graphics like I usually do. But if we look at this, the only thing I put on this chart is Jupiter and Mercury. So if you have Aries rising, that Mercury, the rework that you're doing, the area of your life that you're reworking during this 3-week period of time is the area of your second house, which is about money and resources and your own self-worth. So the work that you're doing, what you want to think about is the work you're doing there is to prepare that area for the expansion that Jupiter's going to bring. And Jupiter, when it moves in there, it's going to be there for approximately a year. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty nice. You, with Aries rising, you've got Jupiter moving into your second house, expanding the area of money, resources, and self-esteem. So the work you're doing right now is to prepare for that.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm going to move right to the next one. Let you talk about the next one. We'll go back and forth. How's that?
That sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. Let me first get rid of this. Oh, okay. There we go.
There it goes. Okay. So for you with Taurus rising, Mercury retrograde is going to be in your first house. This is going to give you a chance to put some of your affairs in order that has to do with your overall life direction. So the self is, the self-development here in the first house. And it's going to allow for Jupiter to come out of that really hidden place. It's been expanding something behind the scenes. And finally, when Jupiter moves into Taurus, it's going to be in this much more understandable, tangible place, which is what Taurus really likes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what your work is for.
Yeah. So that personal work you're doing on yourself is preparing for Jupiter to move in there, right? Preparing for the expansion of your personality and your expression. That's pretty sweet. Okay. So next up, if you have Gemini rising, the work that you're doing, the area that Mercury retrograde is in, you are reworking some internal, hidden, unconscious patterns. That's really what your focus is on that. And, you're preparing your unconscious for an expansion of spiritual understanding, or an expansion on understanding how your unconscious works. But before you get there, you're having to do this kind of rework in that unconscious quiet area.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess the focus is just moving off your community and into a much more hidden place with that Jupiter moving into the 12th house. So that'll be an interesting switch.
Cool. Okay. So now with Cancer rising.
Yeah, so Cancer rising, the focus here with the Mercury retrograde is in that 11th house, just like we talked about in that Taurus video. And it's preparing the ground for some kind of expansion in your community. I mean, once Jupiter moves into the 11th house, there is going to be an expansion here. So take advantage of that Mercury retrograde period to really work with those ideas, and what kind of work do you need to do to invite more expansion into your community.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's something you have to do before you're ready for it. Okay. So then if you've got Leo rising, you're doing some work to re-navigate something around your career. There's some re-navigation of how you think about your career, how you're working in your career. Something has to be redone there. And what you're doing basically is preparing the area of your career for the expansion that Jupiter's going to bring. Jupiter's been in your 9th. It's coming into your 10th. There's going to be an expansion in responsibilities or some expansion in the area of your career that this process of working with Mercury is preparing you for.
Yeah, I like this. I just keep thinking about how there's been some kind of learning that you've had with Jupiter in your 9th house, and you're going to finally get to just incorporate that into your career. So really going to be awesome to take the time to do the things you need to do with Mercury retrograde there.
Yeah, absolutely. Get ready. Get ready. I love thinking about this as a time to get ready. I think of Jupiter as this, it's such a big, joyful planet. And we're cleaning the house. We're cleaning the house to get ready to welcome Jupiter.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. This works really well with, I don't know, I was just thinking about Mercury I don't know, just getting your to-do list done. Anyway, Virgo rising. Let's see. So Mercury retrograde is falling in your 9th house of worldview. It is time to do some kind of work there in order to prepare a major expansion. I mean, this is exciting. This is a time when, you know, something big's coming that you're going to be seeing more clearly for out in the world. So this is pretty interesting. So, you know, shore it up, like take the things you need to do, look at your to-do list, take care of those things that you left undone from the past.
Right.
Ready?
Yeah. There's something about your worldview that you need to rework on in order to be ready to welcome Jupiter and that great expansion. Okay. Now, if you have Libra rising, the Mercury retrograde is in your 8th house. You are having to go back and somehow relearn how you are navigating other people's boundaries. Maybe it's certain boundaries that you let slide, that you need to re-engage with in your relationships with other people. But you've got to do some work in that area before you're going to be ready for Jupiter to enter and bring its expansion into that area of other people's values, other people, you know, inheritance is part of that 8th house. For some reason, that kind of, I always think of that when I think of Jupiter moving into the 8th house. There's some inheritance coming, and that probably isn't, for everyone listening to this, money inheritance, but something you inherit from other people. I really think of that with Jupiter moving in there. But there's some internal mental work that you have to re-engage with and work with in order to be ready to welcome that.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one, I think, because really that Mercury is referring to, you know, what boundaries have you not been able to set that you can set? And these can be little small things. This doesn't necessarily have to be giant stuff. This is little small ways about how you navigate your day. As you make decisions. And with Jupiter coming into that 8th house, that's going to bring a bigger focus to that topic for a whole year instead of just kind of in this quick way. So whatever groundwork you can lay is going to be very beneficial as that Jupiter moves in there.
Absolutely.
Area.
Okay, let's go on to Scorpio rising. So if you've got Scorpio rising, I'll let you take this one, I think.
All right. Okay, Laurie. Let's see if you've got Mercury retrograde in your 7th house. I mean, this is a time to revisit ideas and things to do with your partnerships. And again, that's not just your intimate partner. This could be any one-on-one relationship. So this is a really good time to think about what have you left undone in this area of life in order to prepare for a major expansion that's going to come once Jupiter moves into Taurus. And really, Jupiter moving into your 7th house, I mean, this really could be a very lovely time with a partner, you know, so take advantage of the time, like pause, do some stuff for yourself with that Mercury retrograde, and then prepare for that wonderful expansion through the Jupiter moving into your 7th.
Yeah, your mind has to go back and rework something around relationship in order for you to be ready for that big expansion that's coming. I love that. Thinking about Jupiter moving into your 7th house. That's really nice. Okay. Going on to those of you with Sagittarius rising, you know, the Mercury retrograde is happening in your 6th house. You are having to slow down and rethink how you are managing your day-to-day routines that support your physicality. Your routines, your healthcare routines, and the routines that support your health. So you're reworking something in that area in preparation for Jupiter to come in here. Jupiter expands things. The area of health and routines is going to take on a lot more meaning in the coming year.
Yeah, and I also just think that whatever you've been working on has been expanding things for you over the past year. Now you get to kind of make that into a practice, something that you're going to get to draw on and use and enjoy on a more regular basis because it's moving into this routines area. So something that you've done that's brought you joy is now going to become some daily part of your habits, which is pretty awesome.
This is really nice. It's really making me excited about making the video for Jupiter moving into Taurus.
Yeah.
It's exciting when Jupiter moves from one house to another. It really is. Jupiter just brings this expansiveness, and for it to be moving into such a sweet sign as Taurus, it's nice. Okay, so let's go on to those of you with Capricorn rising. And that puts the Mercury retrograde in your 5th house. There's something about your creativity that needs to be re-envisioned, reworked on in some way. There's something around creativity that you need to go back and revisit. And yeah, you're revisiting that in one manner in order to prepare the area, prepare your own creativity to welcome Jupiter when it moves in there. Jupiter moving into your 5th house is going to really expand how you understand your ability to give to others, whether that's through your creativity or other forms of love. The 5th house can also relate to children. Yeah, so be prepared by doing the inner backwards work, the redoing.
Yeah, I think this is really nice for Capricorn rising because, you know, it's such a serious sign on the rising sign there. So this is a really nice expansion of your, I don't know, your ability to have fun and also take risks, which is always kind of interesting with Taurus there, because Taurus doesn't like to take risks. But nonetheless, you're being asked to expand in this area. So that's something you're preparing for.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to those of you with Aquarius rising.
Yeah, so you have Mercury retrograde in your 4th house with Aquarius rising. So this is a chance to, I don't know, kind of redo some things that have to do with your home life. And actually, I can think of a great example of this, of someone who just moved. And, you know, when you move, you've got stuff in boxes and everything's a mess. And so that Mercury retrograde is really going to provide an opportunity to unpack the boxes and set the foundation and get your kitchen set up and all of those details. I mean, it's actually a really nice analogy. So you're getting that ready so that when Jupiter moves into the 4th house, you're going to be ready for this huge expansion in your home life. And again, remember, the 4th house, it's your inner home, your inner stability, but it's also your actual physical home. It's your family that you go home to, all of those pieces. So something to do with that area of life. Get it ready.
I love that. The thought of, somebody moving and unpacking the boxes and getting stuff set up just in time for Jupiter to come in there. And then you just have a party. Have a party. Yeah. You're ready. You've done the work. So there you have it. Now we're going to move on to those of you with Pisces rising. So this Mercury retrograde is happening in the 3rd house. This is some communications that you need to revisit and rework. Some communication in some way, or how you are navigating conversations with siblings, neighbors, anything around that area. So you're reworking that area of communication in order to be prepared for when Jupiter moves in here and kind of expands your voice. I mean, Jupiter going into the 3rd house really wants your voice expanded, but there's some work you have to do first before you're ready.
Yeah, and I also think this is actually an interesting placement too, because the 3rd house really deals with logistics. It's all the stuff. It's like how you take the bus in the morning, how you pay your bills, how you go to the grocery store, and all the things that we just all do on our daily basis that keep everything going. So this is a good time to, make sure you pay those bills, make sure you take care of all those nuts and bolts and all the things that keep your life going and stable. And then that way, when Jupiter moves in, you will be good and ready to use this to maximum advantage to expand your voice, as Laurie said. So awesome.
Okay, I think we are done with that. That was fun to go through and do that really quickly. And I guess we'll talk to you all again with the next video.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.